What's up, everyone? Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We had a small technical issue, but welcome to this week's live interview in the Grow Your MTR Business Group. Each week, I'm interviewing midterm rental hosts from across the country to talk about everything to do with midterm rentals, rental arbitrage, co-hosting, and just real estate in general. We've had some really great guests lined up over the past couple of weeks, and we especially have an awesome guest lined up for today. Today, we have Bailey Kramer. Bailey just turned 24 years old, and he is a real estate investor and entrepreneur. He uncovered his passion for real estate early on in his life, and he bought his first investment property at just 20 years old. Since then, Bailey's focused on growing his portfolio of long-term rentals and short and midterm rentals. Bailey also founded his own co-hosting company. He currently manages 13 Airbnb properties in 3 different states. I recently had the pleasure of meeting Bailey at the past MTR Summit just a couple months ago, and he's a really cool guy who's super down to earth, and he's also wicked smart. So thank you, Bailey. Thanks for being on this call. It's a pleasure to get to speak with you again.
Thank you, Christian. Super nice of you, and nice to chat with you again. It was cool meeting you in person a couple months ago.
Yeah, man. No, we had a great time at the summit. So, dude, you're 24 years old. I'm really impressed with you, man. You're 24 years old. You've got this real estate portfolio going on. Can you tell us a little bit about your current, where are you located, and tell us what is your current portfolio look like?
Yeah. So right now I'm physically in Wisconsin. I live in North Carolina. I'm going to Chicago later today. So I kind of move all over the place. Okay. I was in Switzerland last week.
Nice.
So I'm really all over the place. So I guess North Carolina is technically my home base for the next 2 months. And then my current portfolio, I have 3 properties that I own. They're 2 single family houses, and then 1 is a triplex.
Okay.
And then I co-host. I have 13 properties that I co-host that are mixtures between Airbnbs, short-term rentals, midterm rentals, hybrid, all that stuff.
That's incredible. So I have to know, like, again, you're only 24 years old. How did you get started in real estate investing? How did you start buying property and co-hosting? How did you get into this whole world of short-term and midterm rentals?
Yeah, started with the trust fund. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. So when I was 19, or basically when I was in college, I went to school in Florida, University of Central Florida, if anyone has been there. Okay. But literally, like, the moment I got to school, my parents moved me in. Like, the second they left, I made a video that was basically like, it was just me in front of the camera, super awkward, nervous. And it was like, I'm going to work my butt off in college. I'm going to start a business. And that way, when I'm 40, I don't have to be behind a desk and I can be chilling on the beach somewhere. So that was like my mindset, literally, like, going into college. People were like, "Oh, what do you want to do when you get out?" And I was like, "I'm going to have my own business." They're like, "Yeah, no, that's cool. But, like, what are you going to do when you get out?" I'm like, "You guys don't understand." But also, I didn't really understand what I was going to do because my parents weren't entrepreneurs. I didn't really know anybody. I knew people that were, I guess, entrepreneurs. I just didn't really realize that they were entrepreneurs. So I didn't have that, huge exposure to it. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my sophomore year, that's when, like, that real estate bug turned on for me. And he's talking about this passive income, cash flow, assets. And that was, like, again, sophomore year, when I knew that real estate was, like, the vehicle that I was going to go into. Before that, though, I mean, like, I was just basically on YouTube reading books, trying to learn my way into it. And then, yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad was, like, my real estate hook. And then basically, like, Bigger Pockets and just, like, meetup groups. That was my introduction, like, my kind of first steps to, like literally, like, webinars like this, or whatever you call this, Facebook groups and stuff like that. That was, like, the first big action on my part, just to, like, get around people who were in real estate. Because, like I said, growing up, I didn't have people who were doing this.
Mm-hmm. No, that's super cool, man. And that really strikes a chord with me because it's honestly, it's so similar to, like, my own story. Like, I'm the same deal. I went to school, or I went to community college 2 years. Then my first semester, I went to university at Buffalo. So, like, my first semester at, like, a real school. Yeah. And dude, I ended up reading the books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. I ended up reading a couple of these books. I ended up joining, like, it was like a financial education course as well. And I swear to God, I learned more in just a couple months of this financial education course, I learned way more than I felt like I learned my entire 2.5-year career at university. And then at the end of that semester, I looked at the bill. I just remember looking at the bill and I was like, dude, I think it was like whatever it was like $12,000 or something for the one semester. I was like, man, for $12,000, like this sucks. So well, that's just to say that's really similar to my own story. So that really resonates with me. Cool. So, okay. But so you ended up joining these groups, you were reading these books, and then what action did you first take? Like, did you start by co-hosting? Did you start by buying a property, or what was the first actionable step that you took?
Yeah. So basically I'd say the biggest pivotal moment, besides just like the learning and stuff, was I was on a meetup group, and this was like during COVID. So it was all online. And at the end, this guy was basically like, hey, if you're interested in joining my mastermind group, give me a call. I give him a call. I'm like, hey, man, I'd love to join. He goes, all right, it's $5,000. I'm like, great. I don't have $5,000. He's like, how old are you? You sound young. I'm like, 19. So long story short, him and I were able to make an exchange, get me in there without having to pay monetarily, basically just exchange value. And then from there, and by the way, this was actually this group that I joined was for investing in apartment buildings. So that was my first initial thing, because it started with Rich Dad Poor Dad. Then Grant Cardone was like, buy a 50-unit building, don't go anything less. I'm like, yeah. So then I joined this group, and then from here, I basically spent a year with these pretty high level. I mean, there were people from all walks of life. There was teachers, engineers, people who were in real estate, wasn't in real estate. But I started just saying to the people, hey, like, how can I help you? So I was starting to underwrite deals for people. I was literally writing like blog posts for people. I would just basically be people's like unofficial intern and just like do stuff for them. And then about 9 months into just like helping people out for free, I found somebody in the group who said, hey, I need someone to help me find deals. I'm like, great. So I started cold calling people and doing cold texting, and found somebody who was interested. And I called this guy up. I'm like, hey, I've got someone who I think wants to sell his house. I think it makes sense. Basically passed over the phone or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he was able to close the deal. And the guy that I partnered with had experience. So he already had some knowledge. We raised money from people who were in this mastermind group. And that first deal was actually a fix and flip. So it had nothing to do with apartments, nothing to do with Airbnb, short-term rental, anything like that. But that was kind of my first taste into like actually doing real estate.
Wow, that's so cool. So it sounds like basically you just were like providing value for people, just like working for free for people, and to work under them and just get into that room and build that network to get started. Yeah. Wow, man, that's super cool. And I did a lot of the same as well. It's just like you just got to get your foot in the door, right? Yeah. Wow. No, that's super cool. So I'm curious, because you mentioned you were just in, did you say Sweden or
Switzerland?
Switzerland. What were you doing there? Skiing?
No, we were just basically hiking. I went paragliding. That was like probably the coolest thing I did. But yeah, just like a vacation.
That's super cool. Do you travel often?
I would say probably, I'd say a decent amount. My girlfriend, she goes to grad school, so she has set times when she can go on vacation, and then I kind of go on a few extra ones while she's in school. So I went to like Utah this year.
Nice.
I went to Switzerland, Florida,
like to San Diego,
Wisconsin.
No, what do you say? You went to San Diego for the MTR.
San Diego, yeah. I honestly, like, I lose track a little bit, but yeah.
No, I know, I get it. I just got back yesterday, actually, from a trip to Boston, for a real estate conference as well, which is why I'm feeling a little bit sick today, a little under the weather. So if I sound a little bit weird, that's why. But it's all good. That's all part of the. Cool, man. So tell me about I'm interested in your co-hosting properties. Now, I know you said you're in North Carolina, and sounds like you're managing most of these properties remote. So like what kind of properties are you managing, and where are they located?
Yeah, so I have 2 properties that are lake houses that I co-host in Illinois. So
Super cool.
Chain of Lakes, Illinois, lake house. These are larger properties, like 4 to 6 bedrooms, 2 different houses, whatever. But funny enough, so these houses, like the biggest appeal to them, especially when the owners bought them, was like short-term rental, summertime, it's gonna be great. One of them, we actually did midterm rental with it in the off season. So starting literally February, it's been a midterm rental, and we've been pulling in between. The numbers are kind of skewed. It was actually through Airbnb, but the numbers are kind of skewed. But it's been between 10,000 and 16,000 per month, more averaging to 10 to 12. I don't really know. The payouts are kind of weird on Airbnb, so I'm not going to say 16,000 a month. Yeah. We had last month was 16 for some reason, but this coming month is 5. So I don't know. Call it 10 to 12,000 per month we've been getting.
Yeah.
And that's been cool. And we've actually decided to even cut into summer a little bit, let this person stay until the end of June, which is 9 days now. And then July and August, we're going to switch to short-term rental, because then we're going to get probably 15 to 20 grand per month for that house. And then the other property is really, more of a short-term rental. It was actually that it was a plumbing issue with it. So this past off season, it was just like under construction. But last year in the off season, I did a midterm rental completely on accident. I didn't even know what. I mean, at this time, I knew what a midterm rental was, but I guess it wasn't that intentional.
Like actively looking for those,
especially for this size property. This has a pool, lakefront. This one has it's huge. Like it really it's big. So that was my first That's kind of weird that someone's renting like this big of a house. I usually think of like a nice 3-bed, 2-bath house. This is like a monster house with a pool, like not luxury, but not your typical MTR.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then there's those 2. Another short-term rental.
And sorry, real quick, are those owned by the same owner, or are those different owners?
Those are different.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I have another short-term rental that, again, kind of more of a hybrid in North Carolina. That one is, again, we're doing a nice hybrid with it. Right now we have someone in there for like 2 to 3 weeks. We had someone in there for a week prior. Yeah, that one's cool. And then a lot of the midterms are happening in Indiana for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then the properties that you own, you mentioned you said 2 single families and you have a triplex. Do you run those as long-term, short-term, or midterm?
Mostly midterm. Like that's my goal, but I've been kind of doing a hybrid when properties aren't booked.
I gotcha. Yeah. And are those all in Indiana?
Yep.
Nice, man. How did you stumble upon this midterm model? Because I know you started more with short term like me. So how did you stumble upon the midterm? Yeah,
well, like looking back, I was actually doing midterms because basically the second Airbnb I bought, the regulations in the city basically said you can only short-term rentals for 180 days. So the other 180 days we'll do. We just called it like month by month, or we didn't say midterm. We just were like, we're just gonna rent it out to someone longer. So not really knowing that, there was this label on it. I've been technically doing it since 2021. But then I don't know, I think later in 2022, I started co-hosting for somebody in not a traditional vacation market at all. And that was that we just kind of kept on getting inquiries from travel nurses, we had this one mom who wanted to be by her daughter who was playing softball at school for a couple months. So there was like all these different demographics. Then we got an insurance claim. And then I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So it all kind of happened by accident. And then I would say when I bought the first property by myself, that's when I was like fully intentional. Like, okay, I like the strategy. I like a lot more pros, in my opinion, than there's a lot the pros and cons, of course. But I was like, for me, I want to get a midterm rental. So then I was more intentional about it. And then I kind of just realized that in the off season too, for a lot of my properties, like we just do so much better if we do a midterm than short term. So then, kind of just snowballed. And then, like I said, even the lake house that's, typically lake houses are known to be prime summer spots. We're getting just as much, maybe a tad bit less, but honestly, probably not as a midterm rental than we are a short-term rental. So
no, seriously, and just the amount that you're saving on cleaning costs and
headache,
just the headache and turnover. It's like, oh my God, so much worth it.
Yeah, I was trying to honestly get the owners to, let these people go even longer because I think in July and August we're going to technically make more money as a short-term rental, but in September, October, November, it's going to go back down. We're going to have to go hunt for a new midterm rental client.
Right.
And the person who's there right now, like their house, I forget exactly what happened to it, but all I know is like they have not started to rebuild it because, I don't know, insurance issues and labor issues and all that stuff. So it's going to be such a long process. Maybe we'll get them after the summer season or something.
Yeah. Wow. No, it sounds like almost like it would be your owners would be better off to keep them.
Yeah, they just love the idea of like short-term rentals. Oh, they're like, oh, like I want families to come and enjoy the property. I'm like, all right, whatever.
I know it. Yeah, I have some clients that are the same way that I co-host for, that they like, whatever they have a set idea and that's what they want to go with. It's what are you gonna do? Which for me is kind of part of the reason why I really do appreciate arbitrage, because when I do arbitrage, like, I kind of have that full control over the property. Like I get to run it exactly how I want to, and I don't have to kind of answer to somebody. So that's one of the drawbacks I think to co-hosting for me, is that you kind of have like two customers in that respect. Like you have to make your guests happy, but then you also have to make the landlord happy. Now, I mean, there's definitely benefits to co-hosting. Like it's almost zero risk to you as the co-host. You're not really putting any money in, and all you have to do, you're just putting in your time and your expertise, but you're not really putting any financial risk in. So that's definitely the benefit of co-hosting. But that's always been one of my least favorite things, is having like two customers. Like, man, but it is what it is. But that's why I've gotten a lot better. I've also gotten a lot better now at properly setting expectations with the landlord and letting them know, this is how I run things. This is how, how things work. And, I try not to deviate too much from that.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a lot better at that. I know in the beginning I was too much like kind of doing whatever, like letting the landlord kind of run the show in a way, and like trying to like bend to their needs. But now it's like, no, this is how I run things. Either take it or don't. And that's it. So I think that's something, if you're going to be doing co-hosting, it's important to kind of get to that point where you're like, this is how it's done, take it or leave it, and work with people that you really want to work with,
Totally. One quick note on that, because like for people just starting out though, they hear that and they're like, yeah, but I don't really have a way because I'm brand new. I don't really know what to do. So then it's like this awkward thing of like, then that first client sometimes plows you over. They're like, oh, co-hosting sucks, I'm going to do something else. So it's definitely easier said than, I totally agree with you. Easier said than done, of course. What I always tell people is, especially for that, for like what you're saying, for if you have experience, if you're just starting out, again, this is a lot easier said than done too, but I think you should be as firm as you can, but also be a little bit more flexible and take that first one as more of a learning experience.
Yes.
And because you're going to gain so much more just from the experience of it.
Yes.
Than the money or anything like that. So as long as they're not like a complete pain in the butt from the start, I'm like, honestly, just do it. Like you'll be able to have a property, be able to show other people, hey, this is one of my properties, kind of thing. But yeah, trust me, I've had clients that I fired. I'm like, we're done. There's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have taken on, but I don't know. I think.
No, it's a great point. I agree 100%. When you're more in the beginning, it helps to really be accommodating and to be flexible with your landlords and just take on, like, just get started, right? And then if, you can reevaluate 6 or 12 months down the line and see if that's still a client that you want to service.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to get started in this business, it really does help to have that flexibility and to be accommodating. And even, dude, like I tell people sometimes, like, dude, if you're really struggling to find your first co-host and client, offer to do it for free for someone for 3 months, right? Like literally find someone and offer it for free. Yeah. And if you're really hungry and you're looking to get started, it's honestly why, and you just want to learn the business, because the best way to learn, you can research, you can watch videos, you can do it, whatever, all you want. But the best way to learn is just to do. So
Totally.
even if you have to freaking do it for free or for some like crazy discounted rate for a couple months, like I'm okay with that. I really agree. So Bailey, I'm interested in your operations a little bit. You're managing a bunch of units. What softwares or technologies do you use like every day to manage all of these units?
Yeah. So I'd say the biggest one is probably like Notion. I think
Okay.
you use Monday.com, right?
I use Monday, but they're similar.
Yeah, so like similar idea, just kind of like the main thing for everyone, and you could even use Google Sheets and whatever you want, but the biggest thing is just having some place where you store every information that like a virtual assistant is going to need to know about the property. Again, easier said than done because people ask a lot of random questions, and that's why it's not completely passive, especially from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start to build on that database, then you'll essentially have over a year's time almost every single question someone's going to ask, and that way a virtual assistant can handle it. Since I co-host, I have all the owners' details and information in there as well. So I'd say that's one huge one: processes, procedures, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I would say Hospitable is my game changer as far as like just integrating everything, seeing everything in one place. That also sends messages to my cleaners automatically. So that's kind of nice. I don't have to like think about that. It just happens. And I still have processes that I follow up with the cleaners manually, but it's nice to just have that initial message go out. And then I would say Price Labs has been huge as well, mainly for the short-term side, but I will say also from the midterm side and the hybrid side. Honestly, all around, it's huge, but people mainly think of Price Labs, I think, for the short terms.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a hybrid, for everyone, I'd still recommend using it because it'll come up clutch when you need to have a minimum night stay shift or something like that.
That's interesting. Can you talk more about that? Because I've used Price Labs for short-term rentals, but I've never used it for midterms. So how do you use Price Labs for midterm or hybrid rentals?
Basically, what I do is, so for midterm, let's just say, like, I'll give an example. I have a property just for easy numbers. We'll say like I want to get $3,000 a month for the property.
Sure.
So that's technically $100 a day. But if someone's going to rent it for 4 nights, I'm not renting it at $100 a night. It's going to be $150 a night. Yep. So what I'll do is I'll essentially go into Price Labs. I'll set my prices as if it was a short-term rental. So just like, again, averaging here, that's $150 a night. And then on Airbnb, I'll put in a discount for monthly stays to get it to my price. So if I did $150 a night times 30,
like a 30% discount.
That's $4,500. So then I'll just figure out whatever the discount is to get it down to the $3,000 a month, again, just for easy numbers. And then on Price Labs as well, I'll make it so that my minimum night stays are like, it's a 2-night minimum if they're going to book for the next 7 nights or the next couple of days. It's a 14-night minimum if it's beyond whatever, 28-night minimum, 60-night, 90-night minimum, all that stuff.
I gotcha. So that way no one is booking a 2-night stay 2 months out in advance and then messing you up from getting a midterm client.
Exactly. Yep.
So, okay. So instead, if it's like an immediate, like an immediate booking or like a whatever, like they're booking for the next week and within the next week or two, then you'll allow like a 2-night or 3-night stay or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then as the dates get further and further, you're raising your minimum nightly stay. That's cool. That's actually really cool. That's a little bit different than how I do it because I don't use Price Labs for my midterms. What I do is I'll set a 30-night minimum, and then basically, I do something similar. I guess I just do it manually.
Yeah.
Like if I have an vacancy and I don't yet have a midterm booking, I'll open up usually like the next 10 to 14 days for some short-term stays, and then just keep a 30-night minimum like for 2 weeks and beyond.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So Price Labs can help you do that more automated.
Automated, and just quick, like, and also like it's automated, and then also I think it's more like because you could hypothetically either forget to do the 10 to 14 day window, or you could hypothetically not know that 10 to 14 day window actually happens to be a holiday or a major event. And that actually happened to me. When the solar eclipse happened, I had no idea that I was a prime spot for it. And we ended up, instead of like 100, this was like instead of 125 a night, we're doing 500 a night for 2 nights, but 5 times difference. I would never have guessed that personally.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But Price Labs did it for me. So.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I was the same because in Buffalo we were actually like right in the path of totality for the solar eclipse, and yeah, I ended up taking. I had a few of my places get booked for that weekend, and holy smokes, like we got booked at just crazy rates. Yeah, I had one property that we typically run as a midterm. This was actually my uncle's property, so it was my uncle's property. He like lives in that property half the year and then travels half the year. So we rented out for him while he's traveling.
Sweet.
And he was actually, he was home at that time, but I told him like, hey man, solar eclipse is coming. So he stayed with his mom for 2 nights, and we rented out his apartment for $1,000 a night.
Dang.
So we got over $2,000 for that weekend for him. I also rented out my personal apartment, this apartment that I'm staying in. I got like, I paid my rent for the month for that weekend. So I got 15, I think they booked for 3 nights, and I got like $1,600, and my rent here is $1,500, which includes utilities and Wi-Fi. So I rented out my personal apartment, my uncle's apartment, and then I rented out a couple apartments where we had some vacancies and stuff available.
That's
and yeah, we made out pretty good for this.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's cool. That's what's cool. That's why it's important to kind of know about like what's going on in your area and when to be flexible to pick up some short-term bookings, even if you are primarily doing a midterm strategy. Cool. What other are you using? Any other tools besides, you said Notion, Hospitable, and Price Labs? Do you have any other tools you use? It sounds like you have a VA.
Yep, I have a VA. Those are like the main 3 tools I'd say. I'm using like a texting software. It does a lot more than that. I think I might have talked to you about it. Go High Level.
Oh, so nice. Yeah.
That's how I communicate with my cleaners, but I wouldn't say there's anything particularly special about it. Any phone software is good, but I think it is important to have another phone system just because, in the beginning, your personal phone, but I think once you start going, then it's nice to have also like my virtual assistant, for example, has full access to see all the text messages, all that stuff. Yeah. So that's like probably the other one that I'd say.
Yeah. I use Open Phone. It's probably similar. I've been looking into Go High Level a little bit too. It seems like it does a whole bunch of other stuff besides just the phone stuff. So that one seems pretty interesting. But yeah, I use Open Phone as a phone service, and it does the same thing. Like my VA can text on there, has access to the phone, can text for me, and we can record phone calls. We can write internal messages. So like we can, if you have a team, on Open Phone, I can write an internal message, say to my VA, and say, hey, can you please respond to this message or whatever? And like, whoever I'm texting doesn't see that. It's like a message thread, right?
That's cool.
So all sorts of little cool stuff like that. So that's important to have, I think, once you start. Really, I would say it's once you have a team, once you either have a VA or once you have someone that's kind of working for you, I think that's probably when it becomes important to start to get those phone services. So cool, man. We are about 30 minutes in right now. So we're going to start to open it up for anyone who's watching. If you'd like to start putting in questions into the group, if you want to ask Bailey or ask me anything that you want to know about growing your own short-term or midterm rental business, we're here for the next 15 minutes, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. We don't have too many people on live right now, so we'll see if anyone puts in some questions, but I encourage you guys right now, if you want to talk to us right now is the time to do it. While you guys are doing that, I want to let you know that if you want to learn more about growing or starting your midterm rental business, whether it's through owning property or with rental arbitrage or co-hosting, I do have a super affordable coaching program. It's currently only $149 a month. In this program, we do live Q&A calls every week where you get to ask me questions directly every single week, specific to your business, as well as you get access to over 80 video modules. So my assistant will go ahead and drop the link in the comments right now so that you can learn more about the program. You're also welcome to schedule a free 15-minute call with me to see if the program is a good fit for you. So with that being said, we'll see. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat right now, but excuse me, I'm still, like I said, getting over my sickness here from Boston. Cool, man. Bailey, so do you, I'm curious, are you doing some coaching yourself?
I am similar type community. Not doing any like I've done a lot of like one-on-one stuff in the past.
Okay.
Doing less of that now.
Sure.
Because honestly, like the biggest thing, like my schedule, is very, how do I describe it? Like I have no idea what I'm doing. Like today, I'm leaving in 30 minutes. It's 1 o'clock here, and I'm going down to Chicago. I can't commit to like one-on-one, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yep, makes sense.
So yeah, I'm doing more like group stuff and similar to what you're doing.
That's cool. That's cool. And if someone wanted to work with you, how would they go about to do that?
I'd say check out my YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just like I honestly have like a lot of videos in there, just like free stuff. Okay, cool. Someone else, I see a question dropped in, but yeah, tons of stuff on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and before we get to Dennis's question, I gotta ask about your YouTube, because your YouTube, man, I think it's really great. I think it's one of the most underrated YouTubes out there right now. I know that for a while, or I know recently you posted a new video every single day on your YouTube channel. And you've got like hundreds of YouTube videos on there. And they're all like, I find that they're really great videos. Like they're all like super actionable stuff. So yeah. I do encourage anyone watching to check out Bailey's YouTube. What's the name? Is it just Bailey Kramer?
Yeah, just my name. And like that price lab strategy I was talking about, where like you set your minimums to 2 nights and then 7 nights. I literally go through it like step by step. And like there's so many videos like that where it's like 3 to 5 minute videos, just boom, 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 like just showing you how to do stuff.
No, I love it. Yeah, that's for me at least. That's the type of stuff that I love, because I know there's so much stuff on YouTube where it's just like fluff, and it's like a 30-minute video for something that could have been like literally 2 minutes. And I love that about your videos. It's just like, here's the meat and potatoes, and then like that's it. Like you don't have all that fluff. Cool. So Dennis Smith asks, what do you use for home insurance and also for damage insurance?
Yeah, I use Steadily for home insurance personally. For damage insurance, it's probably like one of my flaws right now is like I don't use Wavo or anything. I'm trying to think of the other Safely. There's Superhog. I don't use any of those for like damage insurance, like those. Yeah, those damage insurance type things. I just
damage waiver. I think.
I don't do anything like that personally, but Steadily is who I use for like just insurance.
Yeah, and I've used Proper Insurance because I do mostly all arbitrage, so they have arbitrage insurance policies. And then I have used Wavo. I don't. I use Wavo. I actually recently implemented Wavo as like an option, so my tenants can either choose to do a security deposit, or instead they can purchase the Wavo insurance. But so far it seems like I've only had like 1 or 2 people in the past 2 or 3 months that chose the Wavo insurance. So we don't really do that much of that either. It's mostly just security deposits.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. I feel like for me, if I were renting a place and they said, hey, either $50 and it's a fee, or $500 security deposit, $50, like just that's what I'd personally do. So it's kind of interesting.
$50 a month, but
per month. Okay.
Yeah, a month.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it's also, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see it either way, but it seems, I guess if you're not planning on doing any damage to the property, then it makes better sense just to pay the security deposit and know that you're going to get it back.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, that's a good question, Dennis. Any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So, dude, what's your going back to your YouTube channel? You got any videos planned or any topics that you have coming up? Or
I have like 15 or 20 videos that are drafted that I just need to schedule, to be honest. Yeah. So they're already made. There are a lot of I've done a couple, like from the midterm rental summit.
Mm-hmm.
I talked with Amy Lyons from Furnish Finder. I talked with who else have I talked with? A couple other vendors that I really like from there. And you as well. And I think there's
sure we have an interview there. Is that posted yet or not?
It is posted.
Is it posted? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in watching Bailey interview me, check out that one on YouTube.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of like good segments from those that are waiting to be posted. But I don't know. I kind of like mentally, after going to Switzerland for 10 days, and then I'm kind of more in my chill mode right now.
Sure. So, well, you're traveling. It's summer, so
yeah.
I hear you, man. Yeah, and so I also I'm going to be making this announcement on Monday, but so Bailey, you're actually our 10th live interview that we've done in this Facebook group. So you're actually the last of this season 1, basically, of what we're calling of season 1. So we'll actually be taking a break for about 2 months from doing these live interviews, and then we'll be picking it back up for season 2. Well, that's just to say you're the last one for the next couple months. Yep, we had to end it with a bang. And then, in about 2 months, 2 to 3 months, we'll be picking it back up for season 2 and doing some more live interviews. During that time, I'm actually going to be starting my own YouTube channel. I don't even have a YouTube right yet. So I'm actually going to be launching my own YouTube channel. We'll start posting more content and videos in there, some long form content, a little bit of shorts. And yeah, man, just keep and building and growing that way, and kind of growing the community that way through YouTube. I think YouTube is that's where I learned so much about this business, has all just been on YouTube. I've had coaches and stuff as well, and I think it's important to have coaches, but I'm always just constantly learning with YouTube, audiobooks, podcasts, all that type of stuff. So I think it's huge.
That's exciting. Do you have a name for the channel? Is it just your name?
I'm stuck. Maybe you can help me. It might be my name, but also the name of our Facebook group is Grow and/or Start Your Midterm Rental Business. So I think I might just name the channel that as well, Grow Your MTR Biz. I think that might be the name of my channel. I'm not sure yet, though. What do you think?
I don't think you can go wrong. For me, the reason why I just picked my name, and the reason why I personally wouldn't do that if I were you, is I don't know. There's a lot of benefits to doing a niche.
Yeah.
Also, for me, it's I look at random stuff. I'm interested in so much more than just that. So that's my only reason why I'd say it's cool. I think I don't know. I see it both ways. I also in the past, I think I feel like I've switched my focus a few times. Like I mentioned, in the beginning, I was apartment. So people knew me as the guy who was interested in apartments. Then it was I had a couple single family houses and did fix and flips. So people were oh, that's the guy who's done that. And it was Airbnb, short-term rental. Then it was mid-term rental. So now after changing
so many times,
evolving, right, I'm kind of whoa, I can't stick to one name or title because I know it's going to change.
Right.
But with that being said, I do want to stick with midterm rental. Co-stay in the short term, but I do want to continue to buy more midterms. That's my nearest site future, thing that I want to do. Yep. But I know that I don't know. I'm also very interested now buying a short term rental, and so I don't know. It kind of depends on.
I hear you. Yeah, so that's kind of an advantage of just going to your name, because it's however you pivot or whatever you decide to talk about or whatever, it's always just your name.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Especially because for me, I went through the same thing a little bit. Like I used to call myself the Airbnb guy, like, whatever. And then now it's like, well, I'm not, I mean, I still use Airbnb, but I'm not like a short-term, I'm the midterm rental guy. Right. And right now I'm also the arbitrage guy right now as well too. But like this real estate event that I just attended in Boston it was an incredible event. It was put on by people called Legacy Family.
Okay.
And at this event, it was a lot of like multifamily investors, like commercial multifamily guys that own like large apartment buildings that own hundreds and hundreds of units and stuff across the country. And so it definitely got my mind a little bit more open to like, okay, maybe I should start buying property and look into multifamily or commercial stuff, right? So that's just to say, it's good to like keep yourself flexible and open to pivoting and exploring other options and stuff. So
one other thing I'll say on that too is on my YouTube channel, I have two different playlists. I have a couple, but two main playlists. One is like co-hosting. It's called like the co-hosting something. One's midterm. So I'll get people who will just be interested in co-hosting. They'll go through my co-hosting playlist. I'll get people who are interested in midterm and just go through that. And then I don't know how YouTube really works, but I think when people watch a midterm video, they get recommended more of my midterm content.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I've seen that people have, and then kind of like, let's just say I pivot to something else, which I'm not planning to, but
who knows what's going to be going on in 2030.
Right. So then I still have my co-hosting playlist that people can still watch for forever. My midterm playlist that people can still watch forever. Then I have like apartment investing or whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my way of doing it, but I'm no YouTube pro. It's just, I guess it's been working decently doing it that way, but.
Yeah, man. No, man, that's super exciting. It's great to hear from you. Sounds like a lot of super exciting stuff happening. We are at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much, Bailey, for hopping on and sharing all of your knowledge and insights. You are just such a wealth of knowledge in the space. So thanks again for hopping on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I will see you. Nope, I won't see you next week. I'll see you at the beginning of season 2 of the Grow Your MTR Biz podcast. So thanks all for watching and talk to you later. Peace.